Who are my close friends? The real ones. The ones who stick around when it matters most. Maybe the better question is, would I be close friends with myself? This series is about navigating the real, the hard, and the meaningful parts of friendship.
Ready? Swadika.
One thing I could say that we all have in common is that we have a true love for chocolate milk.
So true.
Do I have anything in my teeth?
No.
What have I done for you?
Let's go.
All right. You ready?
Uh-huh.
I was thinking about how many times we've just been sitting together and looking through all the photos we have, which is like 5 years worth. And honestly, just like laughing at both of us, like sending full tears pictures to each other, thinking back to those moments that we actually were really sad. But now we're like, wow, look at us. Like, we're doing so much better.
Anytime we greet each other, we say hi or like have a weird impersonation every time. It just, makes us smile. And I'll go with this one. Anytime we see Harrison, we go, Haley, Haley.
Yes. So there was this one time that I was very sad over, embarrassingly, a 3-day situationship, okay? And Elizabeth, I texted her and told her that, like, hey, this guy said, yeah, we're done. And she came over and she brought me ice cream from Culver's.
Surprise.
A little surprise ice cream moment.
It was her favorite order, so.
Yes.
Whenever I need help, like if Coleman's out of town and I need to set up YU, they always have my back and they're always there for me. So
Corbin pays for my meals sometimes when he doesn't have to after church service.
I got you.
There were some people that Sydney was kind of like spending time with, and they started like treating me poorly and just like speaking about me negatively, and Sydney could see that wasn't right. And even though she was friends with these people, she decided to stay like a good friend to me, and she knew that it wasn't right, and she like stopped hanging around them.
There's like a lot of things that come to mind, but I would say a time that like Justice and Coleman went out of their way for me is like my dad's funeral was 2.5 hours away, and they still decided to come be there and support me during that, even though they never met him too. So like they were just there to support me, and so that was a time that they definitely like went out of their way just to be there for me.
I'd say Jimmy always is there for me and like serves me because he's always my accountability partner. No matter what I'm going through, he's always there for me, and he always just makes me feel wanted and feel good about myself.
I'd say have fun in all situations, regardless of the outcome, whether it's something broke on us or we're just having fun and it's just random.
I would say that Reese taught me how to actually want to know how people are doing. So saying hey, how are you doing? Are you doing okay? If they're going through a hard situation, and then sitting down with them and actually listening instead of trying to give them a solution, just being a friend for them and just being listening ears.
Aren't friends great, right? Friends are great. Listen, how many of you guys have watched TV shows from the 90s? The 90s? Anybody raise your hand? Yes, the 1990s, the 1900s. Real quick, freshmen, what year were you born, freshmen? 2010, 11. Seniors, what year were you guys born? 2007, 2008. Yeah, so way before you guys were alive, in the 1990s, there were a bunch of TV shows that all kind of related to one another in some way. All these shows, they were 30 minutes long. They were considered sitcoms, but if you've watched any of them, you know how classic and maybe how cheesy some of these TV shows were. TV shows like Full House. Anybody like Full House? Anybody? Okay. If you say Fuller House is better, I don't know who you are. I don't want to talk to you. Friends. Who likes Friends? Anybody? Yes. Other shows like Boy Meets World, Fresh Prince, even shows like Futurama, King of the Hill, South Park. South Park started in the 90s. This is iconic TV. This stuff is good. Now, what is something that all these shows had in common? I mean, one of them is literally the name of what they all had in common, what they were all known for, is they were all centered around close friends. Like every single show in the 90s seemed like they had a group of best friends or a small group of really close friends. And when I was a kid, it just sort of set the standard, like you have to have these people in your life that you do everything with. You have to have these people in your life who you go across the street, you go to the coffee shop, and somehow you do it in the middle of the day. You don't have actual jobs apparently or something. And you're supposed to have these super close friends. And when I was a kid, I had a couple friends I was really close to. Two of my friends, Anders and Sam. Anders I met when I was about 4 years old at church. We just became friends because our moms were friends, and we're still friends to this day. Sam I met in second grade, and the three of us pretty much always hung out. Anders and Sam were not that good of friends, but every single day of the summer, all weekend, Sam lived a mile away from me, so I'd bike to his house, or Anders lived the next town over, so my mom would bring me over there, or his mom would bring him over to my house. We hung out all of the time. They were my closest friends. And then I moved. Right after 7th grade, going into 8th grade, I moved to Nebraska. And like anyone else, when they move, you pretty much lose all your friends. And slowly I started making friends through sports and through school. But it wasn't until I got into a small group at YU, but back then it was called Relevant Student Ministries. It wasn't even called YU yet. There's 13 people that came to YU at that point, a little bit different than it is now. And we met at somebody else's house, not in a building. And I met a couple guys who would end up being some of my closest friends. One of the guys, his name is Josh. He and I were inseparable. And then there was a cast of 10 other guys that came in and out throughout all of 8th grade and into high school. And so Josh and I, we would always hang out. We'd spend a lot of time together. He lived here in Elkhorn. I lived in Elkhorn. We went to different schools, but he was one of my closest friends, one of the best friends I'd ever had. And we would do things, just the two of us. We would get a whole group of friends together. But one of these days when we were hanging out, it was just me and him. We were making nachos at his house. And by nachos, I mean, yes, we just took chips and we put shredded cheese on them and just put them in the oven. Gourmet food. And so we were doing this, and we were waiting for the nachos in the oven, and we had a lacrosse ball. And we were throwing a lacrosse ball in the kitchen, just back and forth, talking about who knows what. And as we were throwing this lacrosse ball, one of us missed, and there was this cabinet that had cookbooks and stuff on it that was sitting in the corner. It rolled underneath the cabinet. And I'm like, I got this, Josh. I'll go grab it. Doesn't matter. And so I'm down. I'm like this, and I'm reaching under this cabinet. I'm talking to Josh still like this, and all of a sudden, and I am in so much pain. My hand hurts, and I pull my hand out, and there is a mouse trap stuck on my hand. I am rolling around on the floor because my hand hurts, and Josh is laughing at me. He's laughing his butt off. And his mom, she was working at home that day. She comes running, what happened? And she sees me holding my hand with a mouse trap on it, and she's laughing at me too. And I'm like, you know what, Josh? I reset the trap. I said, put your hand in it. What does Josh do? Puts his hand right in it, and he too puts his hand in a mouse trap. And later on, when we got some of the other friends, got Drew and Phil and Jake and some of these other guys who are friends of ours, we got them all together, and we reset that mouse trap, and we made them all, one by one, stick their hand in this mouse trap so they could experience what I experienced too. When you have good friends, the stories they never end. There are so many different stories I could tell you about my time in high school where we were just dumb guys having fun. Friends are so important. You and I, we need friends in our lives simply to keep us sane. But friends can be good friends, and there can be close friends. And when we can have truly close friends is when we start to truly thrive. And one thing that those fictional friendships from the TV shows that they don't really teach you is how to actually make good and authentic and close friendships. Like if you're like me, you've probably found yourself wishing at times that there was somebody who was just in your life that would help you navigate how to have real and authentic friendships. Do things like how to make friends. Things like how to actually keep friends, how to be a good friend, how to change friend groups, how to let go of a friend. And listen, this whole series, we're not talking about just casual friendships. We're not talking about the people that you sit next to in your class and you talk to them because they sit right there, and who else are you going to talk to while your teacher is trying to teach. Well, we're not talking about the person who's on your team and the only reason why you even have their phone number is because you're in a group chat with them. We're not talking about that friend that you had in third grade that you've just grown apart from. Those are not the friendships we're talking about. We're talking about real friends, good friends, and close friends. And believe it or not, it's a lot harder to have that kind of friendship than a 30-minute TV sitcom would like to tell you. You see, the truth is close friendships can be difficult. Anytime you try to mix two unique and complicated human beings, it's not always easy. Friends take a lot of work for all kinds of reasons. Let's be honest. When we were kids, we weren't really taught how to be a good friend. Like, your parents don't really teach you how to be a good friend. They teach you things like how to be polite. How do you say please and thank you to people? How do you be kind? How do you include other people? Maybe you were raised and your parents said, hey, when you see somebody sitting alone at a lunch table, make sure you invite them over. Make sure you play with that one kid at recess because he's not playing with anybody. They tell you how to treat somebody well and treat somebody like a real friend, but not necessarily how to show up, how to stay loyal, how to set boundaries, or how to work through conflict. That part, for some reason, it just doesn't come with instructions. And with that, so many friendships are usually formed by default. At least when we're in school, or like our friendships, they just sort of happen because you have similar interests. You're both on the same sports team, and so you're like, well, I guess I'm friends with them. Or maybe they just live in your neighborhood, and so I guess we're friends. Or you get along with them just well enough. Like, you know what, we agree on some things, and so I can be friends with them. Or as someone in your class, on your team, whatever it might be, you just become friends. And maybe it's as simple as we like to do the same things or we like the same shows, but we don't put a lot more thought into it than that. While this is normal and this is natural, and it's the way that people normally make friends, it doesn't mean that they'll become close friends. Why? Because real, lasting, close friendships are hard. I mean, think about it. When it comes to friendship, things are always changing. You change schools, you change classes, you change sports teams, you get a new hobby, you got people in your life, they change, and you're making new friends, which is cool, but building and maintaining close friendships, it's just really tough to do. You're not always sure where you stand with your friends. Sometimes you feel like you're left out of text threads, or you don't get enough voice when it comes to making plans with your friends, or it feels like nobody's inviting you to anything. And if we're honest, I think we'd all admit that sometimes we're not even sure if we're actually in with some of our friends or not. And sometimes expectations just aren't met. Sometimes your friends just don't do things the way that you want them done. Sometimes they don't connect with you enough during the week. Sometimes they don't hang out enough with you on the weekend. Sometimes they forget important details of your life. Sometimes you just feel like, you know what, these are not the friends I thought they were going to be. And when it comes to friendship, I think one of the challenges that we face is where we put our focus. We tend to focus on everything that I'm not getting, that everything that they are not giving me. But here's the good news. What we're talking about in this entire series, and what we're talking about tonight, has the potential to be a game changer when it comes to the way that you approach all of your friendships. And what's pretty cool is that the writers of the Bible actually have a lot to say about making friends is that it's actually all over the place. And the Bible is broken up into two different sections, the Old Testament and the New Testament. The Old Testament is everything that was written from creation till the time of Jesus. And the New Testament consists of Jesus' life and beyond. And the first 4 books of the New Testament are called the Gospels, which are like an account of the life of Jesus when he was here on earth. And in one of those Gospels, it was written by one of Jesus' best friends named John. And he was super close with Jesus. And what's really cool about John is a lot of people believe that John was a teenager or at the very oldest, like 21 years old. So he was a lot like a lot of you in the room. He was young and he needed to have friends in his life. And at one point, John wrote about a very serious moment in Jesus' life. It took place right before Jesus would be arrested and he would die on the cross. And while his disciples had no idea what was about to happen, Jesus knew what was approaching. And with that in mind, Jesus gathered his closest friends together for one last meal. Now, considering what was ahead of him, Jesus could have been looking around the table at his closest friends and thinking, what are these guys going to do for me when all this goes down? What are these guys going to do for me when all this happens? Are they going to actually prove that they are my close friends when all of this goes down? But that's not what Jesus did. Instead of waiting to see how his friends were going to respond to him, he decided to take the first step. Jesus said, instead of being reactive, I am going to be proactive with my friends. Let's see what he did. It says, so he got up from the table and he took off his robe, wrapped a towel around his waist, and poured water into a basin. Then he began to wash the disciples' feet, drying them with a towel he had around him. So this may seem random, but it is really important. And the reason why it's so important is because people in this day and age, they walked a lot. They walked everywhere. And oftentimes they walked even barefoot everywhere they were going. And there weren't sidewalks, there weren't paved roads. Like they were walking, they were trudging barefoot through dust, sand, dirt, and who knows what else. Simply put, nobody's feet were clean. There were no clean feet, and not even like a little bit clean. All of them, you would have been like, these are disgusting. And back then, washing somebody's feet was normally reserved for a servant or a house guest. In other words, someone at a lower position of power. And here's the thing about Jesus. Jesus had the highest position of power that you could even imagine. And everybody in the room understood the power that he had and understood the position that he was in. And so in this situation, it would have made more sense for all 12 of the disciples to get up and wash Jesus' feet 12 times over because of how powerful and the status that he had. But Jesus, who is the master at flipping people's expectations, he often did things that were countercultural or seemingly counterintuitive, and this was no different. He demonstrated to his disciples what close friendship really looked like. And he took the first step. He didn't wait for somebody else to do what he wanted them to do. He served them first. And he did it for them to model what kind of friend that he wanted them to be to other people. In fact, in a different gospel, Luke records Jesus saying something that is some pretty good advice when it comes to friendship. Luke recorded this: do to others as you would like them to do to you. In other words, these are words of Jesus. Jesus said these. Jesus is saying that when it comes to relationships, when it comes to your friendships in your life, you need to be proactive. We need to treat our friends the way that we want them to treat us. But this is difficult to do, right? Because we like to take the opposite approach. We like to treat people the way that they treat us. We like to respond to the way that people make us feel. If someone makes me angry because they are not living the kind of life or not being the kind of friend I want them to be, then guess what? I'm going to respond to them with anger. Well, when I feel like I'm being left out of a group chat from somebody else, guess what? I'm going to make another group chat and they're not going to be in it. When I feel like I'm not being invited to things, the things that some of my friends are doing, I'm going to play my own thing. I'm going to make sure I don't invite them. We like to react to the way that people make us feel. But that's not the way we want friendships to work for us, is it? We want our friends to value us. We want our friends to include us, to notice us, to be kind to us. We want to feel important to our close friends. And we don't want them to pay us back evenly for every mistake that we ever make. We want them to be patient with us. We want them to show us grace. We want them to offer us forgiveness. I mean, think about what Jesus said in the language of our world today. What if I text others the way that I would like to be texted? Well, what if I invite others as I would like to be invited? Well, what if I talk to or about others the way I would like to be talked to or about? What if I forgive others the way that I want to be forgiven? What if I listen to others the way I want people to listen to me? What if I post about others on social media as I would like to be posted about? Listen, Jesus could have made all of his friends, all his friends around him, make everything about him. He was not only a leader, he was the leader after all. He had the highest status, he had the highest position in the group, and he could have used his power to leverage the relationships to benefit himself. But instead, he served. He put his friends first. He was humble, he was supportive, he was encouraging, and he was forgiving. And that's what we can do to our friends too. I mean, think of it this way. Being a friend means serving your friends. We want our friends to make the first move, to treat us well, to put our needs first, but we can be the kind of friend that we want to have without waiting on someone else to make the first move. We can follow Jesus' example with our friendships and with the way that we serve them right now. Because being a friend means serving your friends. Now, there's a million ways to do this. There are so many different ways that you can serve your friends. But I have at least 3 ways that I believe if you start serving your friends in this way, it could change the way that you have friendships in your life. First, think about your friends. You're like, that seems easy. Think about them. I don't just mean like think about what they're doing. I mean like think about what their needs are. Well, not just what they're doing, not just are they doing something with or without you. Think about their situation. Think about their feelings. Think about their worries. Think about their insecurities. I mean, try to be gracious with them and try to be empathetic with them. They have moments of anxiety and fear the same way that you do. And don't just get down. They just get down like you do too, and they have highs, they have lows just like you. Close friends know that because they know what they're going through because they're thinking about each other first. Step 2 is to listen to your friends. Listen to them. Nobody wants a friend who all they do is talk. Nobody wants a friend who never listens to what's going on in their life. Shut your mouth. Let your friend talk. And don't just let them talk and let it go in one ear and out the other. Listen to what they say and remember it. And guess what? You can bring it back up later on. Oh, it's one of the biggest things. Every single time that we go to somewhere like Daytona or All Access Weekend, I hear about these small group leaders talking about their students opening up about the real things going on in their lives. I can just imagine opening up about everything going on in my life right now and never having one of my friends bring it up ever again. That's not the purpose. Listen to what they say and bring it up. Ask them how it's going. And the third step is the most important. And it's the most important, and I believe that this is the one that can change your friendships more than anything else because I believe that almost none of us are doing it. The third step is pray for your friends. Pray for them. Pray for them when they're going through something difficult. When your friend says, I think my parents are getting a divorce, pray for them. Well, when they say our whole family feels like they're falling apart, pray for them. When they're nervous about making that team or getting that grade, pray for them. Pray for them when they're going through something difficult, but maybe just as important as that, pray for them when they are finding success. When they make that team, when they get that grade, when their parents work things out, pray for them in those moments too. Guys, when you pray for your friends, you are including our holy creator God in your friendship with them. That is where you are going to see your friendships truly change. You do all this stuff. It doesn't mean that it's going to work out perfectly with all your friends all the time. It's not just going to magically fix all your relationships and all your friendships overnight. It won't turn acquaintances into close friends. But at the end of the day, a friendship is about two imperfect people existing together in the same place. And when two imperfect people exist together in the same place and are around each other, stuff can and will go wrong. But this will be so powerful for your friendships moving forward. And it's a great place to start when it comes to making regular friends become close friends over time. For the rest of your life, you're going to be in friendships and relationships and learning how to serve them now, learning how to make the first move now and putting them first is going to create an incredible foundation for you to become an incredible friend. Being a friend means serving your friends. It means taking the lead. It means looking out for their interests before yours. And imagine if we became comfortable making the first move. Imagine if we planned the hangout ahead of time instead of waiting for somebody else to plan it. Imagine if you texted somebody asking them how they are doing instead of waiting for somebody to text you. Imagine if we didn't just retaliate, but instead we forgave and we showed them grace. Imagine if we had close friendships in our life. You see, that kind of friend will take work, but trust me, it is worth it. And it all starts by doing to others as you'd want them to do to you. Let's pray. Heavenly Father, I just pray for the friends that are in this room. There are so many good friends in this room, and there are so many close friends in this room. And God, right now, I just know that there's somebody here who's just like, I don't have that. I don't have any close friends. I don't have any friends checking in on me. And God, I would pray today that they would find a good friend that can become a close friend. That in their small group, they would identify one person that's like, you know what, I want them to become my close friend. And God, I pray that we would just put our friends first. God, so in your name that we pray. Amen.